guys. So this video is going to serve as your editing tutorial. Hopefully I explain everything that you're going to need to know for your editing purposes for this class. If I forget anything, leave anything out, feel free to always ask me. Okay, so at this point in the process, you have already filmed your B-roll, filmed your interview, so now you have to edit. So what I've already done and what your next step is to connect your hard drive and your SD card to your computer. So here's my SD card and here is my hard drive. So what I do before anything, pull up my hard drive and I make a folder. So for this class, I did TV interviewing and hosting, and then I had my 3 packages in there. So for my hard news package, I had everything in here. So I have my final versions, and I have all of my video, and I have the project file. So I would go ahead and go on your hard drive and make a folder that you want all your footage to go in. Then I would open up your SD card, find your footage. So this is all of the footage that I have on my SD card. So I would just drag and drop. So select it, select one, hit shift, if that's all you want. If you want the whole thing, select all of it and drag and drop it. Drag and drop it like so into that folder. I'm not going to do that. So then it'll all be in that folder. I would never edit off of your SD card. It's a really bad idea. If you remove that SD card, if you remove the SD card, it just kind of messes up your entire project file because you have to like relink everything and it's just really annoying. And then if everything is on your hard drive, you can edit on any computer as long as you bring your hard drive. Okay, so you've transferred everything to your hard drive. Cool. So now you're going to want to open up Premiere. And my computer's been giving me a really hard time with Premiere lately. So I have to do that again. I'm about to delete it off my computer. Okay, so open up Premiere. Let's hope it works this time. Okay. So I already started one for you guys, the editing tutorial, but then my computer like kind of crashed, so I'm going to do it again. So this will pop up and you want to do new project. And then this is the name. So for you guys, I believe this is your hard news package. So I would call it hard news, or whatever story you're doing, like animal shelter. I don't know. Whatever you decide to call it. Okay. Location is really important. So you want to make sure, I already did this in the first video that I started making. So the first thing you want to make sure is you want to make sure you know where your work is being saved. So you hit browse and you open up your hard drive. I want to save it wherever I put my folder. So TV interviewing and hosting, hard news package. So I would save it under there, hit choose, and then it'll pop up. So that way you know exactly where it's being saved and you want to save it onto your hard drive so you can pull it up on any computer. But for right now, dang it, okay. For right now, I'm actually, so when you like do that, hit open, it'll open a project file. For right now, I'm going to actually open my old package thing. Okay, let's see if that messes anything up. Just so I have more things to show you guys, because I'm not going to sit and re-edit my hard news package. So this way you guys will have kind of like a finalized version to look at. Okay, if it decides to open. Yay, okay, there we go. Dang it, it's missing. Let's see if this works. Okay. Okay, so all of my footage isn't like recognized anymore. So I'm just going through and telling the computer where it is, so that way it finds it. Okay, so here's my finalized version. Here's my finalized version of my hard news package. So okay, so this is where, okay, so when you first go, you won't have any of this on your, you obviously won't, when you open up your new project, you won't have any of this. So what you first want to do is File, go to Import. Then you go to your hard drive and whatever folder you saved your stuff in. So you select however much footage you want to hit and hit Import. And then that's where it will show up. So here's all my footage. It'll either show up here or it might show up down here in the same kind of folder. Doesn't matter, it's the same thing. So don't freak out by that. Okay, so this is where, so that's where all your footage will be. This is your timeline. So once you have all your footage imported, I like to just go ahead and select all of my footage and you literally just drag it and drop it onto the timeline. So that way it'll be there. I can show you down here. So drag it and drop it, and there it is. You have all your footage, and that way you can kind of like go through and you have all the footage laid out in front of you to see what you want. And before you even start editing, I would go through your interviews and pull out the sound bites and kind of have your story written, so that way it makes your editing process a lot easier. So that way you can go in and you can find, so here's her interview. I want to go and I know exactly what I want, what soundbite I want from her. So you can easily just go and pull that out. So that makes editing a lot easier. Okay, so there's your timeline. There's where your footage is. Over here are your tools. So this is the main tool that you're going to use. It's the selection tool. So that is, you want to use that for selecting a clip. So you always, if you select a clip, you always want to make sure that is the one that's selected. The other one that you'll use is this cut tool. So say I want her saying, let's see, something good. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is really stupid, but say I want her from here to here. So you use that razor tool and you just cut it. Cut it on each side, and then that way it breaks it up from the rest. And I like to drag it forward so I know where it is, what I'm using. And then you can just kind of hold it down and drag it and place it wherever you want. So that's what that cut tool is for. What I do, I never actually use this. What you can do So you're on the selection tool. All I do on the keyboard is hit C, and it turns it into cut. So that makes your life a lot easier. You want it back to selection, you hit V, and it so C and V. So C is cut, V is selection. So if you want to keep doing that, that's fine. Just a little shortcut for you guys for that. Another thing that you see me using right now, I use the plus and minus on the keyboard a lot. That really helps seeing your screen a lot better. So when you have to, like edit the audio, I hit the plus, and then I can go really close up, and I can see the audio, and I can, I can mess with it. Or if there's like a jump or something, I can like go in. So, and then you want to hit minus to get smaller, obviously. So I would definitely utilize those. That makes your life a lot easier. What else? So over here, um, a really important thing that you're going to want to do is fill your audio. So what that means is when someone's listening to it, the audio isn't coming out of one speaker, it's coming out of two. So under this effects, so you want to make sure your audio is selected. So let's see it really quick. Let's see a good one. So this is her talking.
Dog or a cat or whatever.
Okay, this is him talking.
And a lot of students or just a lot of people
on the side here, you see that the left level is a lot higher than the right level. So you want to fill that. So that means that that's coming out of the left speaker. So you want to fill your audio. So go under effects, go audio effects, and then I would just type in fill. So because the right side is lower than the left, you're going to want to use the left levels to fill the right levels. So you go fill right with left. And then you grab it and, sorry, it's text. You drag it and drop it. And what I would do is just kind of go ahead and highlight all your footage just to get it out of the way, and drag and drop. So all your audio is set. So I would go ahead and do that, and then start the editing process. So that's one thing. Let's see what else. Okay, so now you want to start editing. I think I showed you the main. Oh, one more thing. If you like really mess up, don't worry. Go to edit, and then you can hit undo. And you can undo any mistake that you make, and it'll go immediately back. So, now let's say you want, okay, I'll just show you my edited version. Okay, so I started out with Nat Sound.
Shelter pets and college students seem to have one thing in common.
Okay, so when I started out, I have the Nat Sound. I started out with Nat Sound, and then right here, that's my voiceover track. So I put the voiceover track a few seconds after my Nat Sound. So when you start with Nat Sound, it's more compelling. It just makes the story more compelling if it's good Nat Sound. So this story was on the animal shelter, obviously. So I started out with Nat Sound, and what I did that you can see is I lowered the audio of the Nat Sound right when I started talking. So I'll play that for you guys.
Shelter pets
and I lowered it just a little bit so it wasn't overpowering. And the way I do that, so you can use this little pen tool right here, the pen tool, and that adjusts your audio. So wherever you want to alter your audio, you do that, and then a second one, and then or however long you want the fade to go. So I could put it there, and I could put it way down here. It doesn't really matter. It's just wherever you need the audio to be adjusted. Then I would hit V or your selection tool, and then you can drag that audio down so it lowers it right there. So that's how you do that. That's going to help you a lot because you don't want your gnat sound to ever overpower your audio, your voiceover. So always make sure that the gnat sound is loud enough to hear, but not overpowering. So I'm just going to undo that. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay, so now that's undid. Okay, so I started out, I'm talking, and then I just have some, establishing shots, and then, let's see.
Levels of stress. Research studies show that interactions with animals can
So all of my shots correspond with my voiceover.
decrease stress in humans, which is why many students may decide to adopt.
So that was a gnat sound break, which I'm obsessed with because that's my dog and I love her. So same thing here. I broke up my audio. I actually took a pause in my voiceover, so I didn't actually edit that. I just paused. And it worked out perfectly because
To adopt.
I paused and then you hear her bark.
But last year,
And then I lowered the audio. I lowered the audio again so it kind of fades out. So it's not an abrupt audio. You don't want to just cut the audio. It's just a nice fade.
over 1,500 of those adopted animals were surrendered back to the shelter.
It's not fair to the.
And then there's my first clip. So basically with everything that you're gonna do, sorry, my roommate is doing dishes and it's distracting me. Okay, so another way, like basically it's pretty easy. Whatever part of the clip you want, you just cut and cut the other side, and then you just drag it to wherever you want it. So that's pretty much the basis of it. Another way, if you don't want to cut, which is kind of easy, so say you have these two clips, but this one is too long. You can just kind of drag it. Ripple delete. So I'll show you guys that again. So you can drag it out to make it longer, drag it in. So you don't always have to cut. You can just kind of drag. And then you can and then when you want to connect them again, you can just drag it, or make it easier, select that space, control, hit the mouse, ripple delete, and then it does that. Okay, and then you have your clips together. Another thing you guys would want to know, let's see if I have it in here so I can show you. Okay, since we're here.
To the animal to adopt them, and then.
Okay, well that's not in the right spot. But, so you need your lower third. So this was my first feature pack, or my first package of the semester. So I had no idea that we had to use like Seminole Showcase lower thirds. So I used my own lower third, and that is not in the right place. So I don't know why. So I'll explain the lower thirds in a minute. But that's not the lower third that you'll use. So I'll explain how you get that in there as well. And this is like where you will, if you haven't noticed, this little screen is where you'll see
immediately have to
everything
rehome them
that's
after
playing.
they've already gone through this potentially traumatic shelter experience.
My computer's being incredibly
It's just extremely stressful and not fair on the animal, especially.
So that's where everything will be played. Let's see if we. Okay, so let's select one. This is being very weird.
But the first vet.
Okay, so yeah, if you select one on the timeline too, it'll play.
But the first vet appointment was like 300.
And then up here you can mess with things as well. trying to figure out what to show you guys. How about we do, you're not going to use this very much, I don't think, but I'll show you anyways. So say there's like a weird transition in between your clips. You want to do, so you select the space in between each clip, and video transitions. You go to video transitions and then dissolve, and then I always use like a cross dissolve, and you just drag and drop. Okay, well, that's not supposed to pop up, but
That's gonna be a good shot.
okay, so you drag and drop that in between each clip, and that'll kind of
That's gonna be a good
add
shot.
a fade. You may or may not need to use that. I'm not sure if you should, but just for a reference. And then say your audio, if you like want to kind of manipulate your sound bites a little bit, you can do that as well. I'm pretty sure I probably did that in mine. Oh yeah, and this little thing right here, you just kind of select it. You just kind of click up here, and it'll go wherever you want it to. So let's see what audio I messed with. Okay, so right here, yeah, so right here, I manipulated his audio, his sound bite, and I put a fade in there. So to do that, you want to select in between the two clips. You go to audio transitions, crossfade, and here's exponential fade. You can even use constant power. Either one works, just kind of see which one you like better. So you do the same thing, you drag and drop. And then you can select that once it's there. And you can make this big or small. You just kind of drag it. So you can kind of do, kind of mess with that. And you just have to listen to it and see if it makes sense. But if you listen, you can kind of hear that I manipulated his audio. I cut it and tried to blend it together as smoothly as possible.
Experience just
So it's kind of cut a little bit.
your experience just extremely stressful and not fair.
So you can kind of tell, but if you weren't looking at the fade or anything, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. So you do fades like that for stuff like, you do fades like that to blend your audio. So one thing I didn't mention is all of the layers on your timeline. So there's a bunch of layers that you can use. All of these down here are your audio tracks. So I have audio tracks like all the way down here. It's unnecessary. They could have been here. I don't know why they're down here. But these are your audio tracks, and then these are all your video tracks. So when you drag your video clip onto your timeline, it'll show up as your video here and your audio here, and they're linked. If you ever want to unlink them, I'm going really in depth here. If you ever want to unlink them, so say you want just this audio, you can lock that, and then you can like move the audio without the video, and vice versa. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. Okay, and then I put my voiceover underneath it, so it's still playing all of it at the same time. We kind of touched on that. And then on top of my video, so to avoid stuff like jump cuts, so for this, you can see that his interview has, since I cut it, there's different sections. So if I didn't have this B-roll over it, you would see those jump cuts. So for your interviews, definitely add some B-roll, and that'll cover those jump cuts. So make sure you get sufficient enough footage so that you cover those jump shots. Let's see what else. That might be it. Okay, that's kind of it. If you guys have questions, I can't think of anything. But if you guys have questions, on anything like that I might have missed, feel free to ask me. But there's one more thing that I'll touch on. So your lower thirds. So your lower thirds is the little graphic that comes up.
To the animal to adopt them, and then
So Seminole Showcase one isn't as cool as that one, unfortunately. But I'll show you guys how to do Seminole, the Seminole Showcase one. So I will send you guys an email with the attached Seminole Showcase lower third. Do I have it imported already? Yeah. So you're going to want to do the same thing. So I'm going to send you the email with the lower third file, and you're going to put it onto your hard drive, and you're going to import it. So File, Import, and it'll show up. So here is my lower third. You drag and drop it. That's not what I want. Okay, I don't think, okay, I actually have to upload this one because this is a different lower third. Okay, so here, hard news. I have to find it because I don't think that that is the right one. Sorry, I don't think that's it. Okay, whatever. Sorry. I'm going to pull the lower third up and download it for you guys again so you guys can kind of see. Okay, let's find it. Okay, so I'm going to send you an email. Kind of looks like this, and here's the download. So you download the file. I'm going to save it onto my hard drive, and then I'll relocate it after, but it's on my hard drive. Okay, I had to put it on my documents. Okay, so it's on my documents, and then I'll transfer it to my hard drive in a sec. So go back to Premiere, import documents, Seminole Super, import. Okay, so there it is. Drag it and drop it. Make it bigger so you can see it. And there it is. So it'll pop up here. So you select this and double click. Double click on it, and then it'll come up with this box. Make it big, make it big. You just drag it. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. I think the way she wants it done, she never really was specific. But for Seminole Showcase, I think we kind of did it like that big. So there you have that. And then what you're going to want to do, you go to this little right here. You want to do new item. And you do title. And then, okay, Lindsay Goodwin. So you're going to want to have the person's name in one title, and then their like reporter. Lindsay Goodwin, Seminole Showcase reporter. So Seminole Showcase reporter will be underneath my name. So first we're going to start with Lindsay Goodwin, and it'll come up with this little box. So there's the text. Make sure you leave it. We should leave everything at the same setting. So you don't need to mess with anything, except that's white. So we make it black. Okay, you type Same thing here. So text tool, move tool. So now here you can move it wherever you want it. There, looks good. Okay. Now you can exit it. And then Lindsay Goodwin will pop up over here. So now, right where all your other stuff is imported. So now you drag it on top of that lower third. Lindsay Goodwin. There it is. So now you do the same thing. Also, before you start adding the text, make sure your lower third is selected. So that way the text comes up and you can figure out where it goes on the lower third. Now you're going to do that same thing again. New item, title, and now let's just do reporter. So this one will be a little bit smaller. So I would do like 75 font. Make sure it's black. Reporter. Okay, obviously we don't want to leave it there. So we go to the move tool and we bring it underneath. Okay, and then you can adjust that however you want. Exit, and then there's reporter. So you're going to put that on top. Perfect, and there it is. So then you drag all of those, highlight them, and drag it. I like to select it and hit the minus tool at the same time. That is very easy to do for me. And then, okay, you put it over the clip that you want. So, this is hilarious. Oh no, I accidentally put it on the clip, so I'm going to do it again. Okay, there we go. You want to make sure it's on top. There, okay, so now, okay, this is weird. I'm so sorry.
I'll just use
Okay.
sound bites.
So, now when,
I'll just use sound bites from your interview.
there,
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
using like the whole interview.
So I like to have it go like 2 seconds after the person starts talking. And you don't have to do this, but I think it looks a lot nicer. If you select all of them and then you go and do under effects, video transitions, and you cross dissolve all of them. I think it just looks nicer having it kind of fade in than just popping up. Not everyone does that. Why is this not working? Not everyone does that, but I think it looks nice.
Your interview.
Why is this not working? There we go. Okay. And then again, you can adjust this however much you want. We can make it a little bit shorter. Make sure it's selected. And then I would also, if you fade in, I would also fade out. So just add that cross dissolve at the end too, and you can adjust this as you need to. This is such a pain. Why? Stop. Okay, well you guys get the point. Let me try it one more time. This is going to really bother me. There we go. Okay. So now it'll look like this.
Your interview. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
using like the whole interview.
Am I? I'm not good enough. Is that what you're saying?
It only has to be.
Okay. So see how it just, I think it looks much nicer to have it fade in, fade out. Shonda never really told us if she wanted us to do that or not. I did it. No one said anything about it. I just think personally it looks better. So that is how you do lower thirds. And yeah, I think that is it. Oh, exporting. That's important. So, as you can kind of see, there's like this little shadow box here. So, what I do, make it really big, go all the way to the end, hit I. you hit I on the computer screen or on the keyboard. Go back, big, go all the way, drag your little cursor all the way to the end. That's what getting up close helps with, so you can really figure it out. So I exported it a little bit. You want to have a little bit of room at the end, so I exported a few seconds after. And then you hit O. So I'll show you guys down here, just so you kind of get it. Okay, so say I want to export starting from this clip. I hit in. I hit I. So that's your in. And then go all the way to the end. That's my out. So now when I export, that's what I will export, not this. So you want to make sure you in and out your clip. So in. And O right here. Okay, so that's ready to export. You go to File, so to export, you go to File, Export, Media. Okay, so here is everything. So, under your source range, you want to make sure you have sequence in and out. Nope, that's custom. Because see, custom will edit 35 minutes of everything on the timeline. So, sequence in and out, so that's only 1:30. Okay, format. You want to go under format, and you want to do H.264. And preset, that's, I always do, you can either do 720p 25 or 1080, 1080-25, that's going to be better quality. And then output name, excuse me. So you hit output name, and this is just what you're going to call it. So do animal shelter hard news final. And then where, I don't want it there, so I'll probably do hard news package footage, and I select that. And then you hit save. So once you save everything, then you hit export, and then it'll export for you. So you just kind of sit and wait, and that's pretty much it. Sorry this was such a long video. I hope I kind of explained everything right, kind of just wung it. So, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. All right. Thanks, guys.